In the previous video, we introduced a list, how to create lists, how to iterate through, and so forth. Now, you notice here, this is it's the generic type of list, right? So whatever we pass in will determine the types that we are going to have in our list. But there's also the explicit way of creating a list. So in this case, I could say, for instance, if I wanted to create a list that will only accept that in advance, I can set it to accept only string types. I would go say var only strings. Okay, that's the name. I would say new list as such. And then I will have the angular brackets, right? This is what we call generics. What we're going to add here is the types that we're going to add. In this case, it's going to be strings, right? Like this. In fact, I have to put the operator, functional operator like that. What this says really, if you remember creating an object, we're creating an object of list, and we're saying the types of items that we're going to be adding inside of our only strings is going to be strings, right? Because now look at what I can do. I can say only strings. I say the dot operator. I can add a string, right? I can say Paulo. Okay. Only string, I can go ahead and say dot add James and so forth. Okay, and of course, in order for me to loop through, I will do the same thing. I can go and say for and I is equal to 0, I is less than only strings dot length as such, I plus plus, and I can say print the object only strings, and I pass I like this. Okay, if I run, it's going to go ahead and show Paulo and James. There we go. Now, because when we do this, notice the string here is a type, which means it's a class. That just means we can also do integers or ints like that. Okay, which means right away we have a problem because it says the argument type string can be assigned to the parameter type int. So in this case, we will have to add a number each time. But most importantly here, because we're talking about types, that means we can add other types. But most importantly is that we can actually add our own objects, right? Or classes. So if I create here, say class, the infamous person class, and I say string name, and let's go ahead and create a constructor here just like that. Okay, now what I can do, look at this, I can go ahead at the top here, create a few person instances. Let's say var James is equal to new person, and I pass name James, right? I'm going to copy this, and this is going to be Shayla, and let's see what else. Gloria. Let's see what else. I can go ahead and say Gina, which is my mother. Okay. There we go. So we have all these objects: James, Shayla, Gloria, Dina, Gina, and so forth. All right, so now what we can do, we can now create a list, var, I'm going to call this person list is equal to new list, and I'm going to pass the person type. What this means is that now our list, personal list, is going to hold only person types, or person classes, or person objects. So let's go ahead and start adding things to our personal list because we have all these objects at the top here. Okay, person dot, I'm going to add person value, it's going to be James. Keep adding all of these. Shayla, Gloria, and Gina, like that. That's it. So to iterate through, I can go ahead and get this for loop here, copy it. Gonna add it here. Gonna change this to person list, right? Length, and make sure, okay? And we're gonna print all of them inside of our person list. Give it a run. We have a problem, says range error, invalid value, range is empty, 0. Click here, let's see where is the problem. Right, there we go. So only strings, actually, we haven't added anything, and that's the wrong one. We have to pass personal or person list like that. There we go. Give it a quick run, and you should see instance of, instance of, instance of. Well, you remember this, the reason why, because we just have the objects, right? We are getting, so we need to say dot name to get whatever the name for each person. Okay, let's give it a run. We should now see Shayla and all the names. Okay. So now, not only are we able to create lists with types that come with Dart, strings, booleans, integers, and so forth, we can now create our own types, in this case classes, right? And pass in as the types that we want to hold in our list. So we get that flexibility of things we can do. Now we can create any class that we want and create those objects to say, okay, this list now only holds person types or person classes. So you will hear me say types and classes. That's the same thing, right? If I say this list holds person types, I'm saying the same thing as saying this list holds person objects or objects of type person. Same thing. Very nice. Perfect. Play around with this concept, and I'll see you in the next video.